Hey, I'm Haley B, and welcome to my channel. I'm coming to you live today from my bedroom, which I've never filmed in here before, but I had some pretty lighting and I have this pretty fireplace behind me. I have my mocktail that my husband Trent made me, and I am ready to go. I am trying out a new camera today. Well, not new necessarily, I've had it and I use it for when I'm on the go. It's a DJI pocket gimbal, but it comes with this handy dandy microphone, and I really wanted to use the microphone today because I feel like my other camera sometimes can sound a little staticky. So we're gonna try this out today, and hopefully this works out and I don't have to refilm. So today I am talking to you about how I got off birth control after being on it for 15 years and kind of what that looked like for me personally. And before I begin, I just want to say that I am not a doctor. I am not giving any medical advice. I am just sharing my personal experience with you, and it's not a crazy story. It's probably one of the more positive stories you're going to hear about getting off of birth control, because I have heard a lot of horror stories, and I'm here to tell you that getting off birth control was one of the best decisions of my life, and I will never get back on. So let's just start from the beginning. When I was 14, I only had one true period, and that lasted about 2 months long. It was miserable. I pretty much just bled for 2 months straight and went to the gynecologist, my first time ever. Found out I had a small ovarian cyst and that I could be put on birth control to see if this would naturally pop the cyst, so that way I wouldn't have to have surgery. So yeah, I got on birth control and I had the cyst that popped, and I started having regular periods. So technically I only ever had one true period, and then the rest were just all fake periods through my birth control. And I loved it. I knew exactly when my period was gonna come. It was very convenient, and I was not gonna get off birth control. I had that one period, it was really bad, and I just wanted the convenience and ease of being on birth control. So I stayed on it, and then as I got older and more educated, I started to kind of feel nervous about what I was putting in my body, and started to question if it was actually safe for me to be on birth control. And that probably was like maybe when I got into college, I started feeling kind of nervous, but then again, I'm like, it's so convenient, I'm just gonna stay on it. And then it probably wasn't until I, was married and was considering having children that I started to become a bit worried about how it was going to affect my fertility. But I was always reassured by friends that are in the healthcare field that being on the birth control pill, I can't speak for birth control shots or anything else, let me just say I was always on the pill, that it does not affect your fertility. You will get pregnant depending on how fertile you are, and that birth control does not have anything to do with that. So I got off of birth control. Let me back up just a minute. So I tried like 3 different types of birth control, maybe 4, and each birth control pill would last me about 5 years before I needed to switch. And it's almost like my body became used to it, and I would start spotting in between my periods. So then I would switch types of birth control and everything would be good again. So I was on birth control for 15 years. I had about 3 or 4 different pills I was on. I switched to generic forms at some points due to insurance reasons, being able to afford it, but in general, about 4 different kind of pills. I was on Sprintec, orthotricycline, low, and one other one I can't remember, but Sprintec was the last one that I was on, and I was on that for like 5 or 6 years. So 2-ish years ago, I decided, you know what, I'm done. I'm getting off of birth control. And I was off of birth control, just decided kind of cold turkey, like I'm done. Once I finished a pack, I'm not getting back on. And that first month being off of birth control, I felt so happy, like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. I felt more energized, I felt great, I felt less anxious, I felt like my head was super clear and I could have actual thoughts for the first time in years. Because something that being on birth control did for me was, one, it gave me major anxiety, made me have brain fog, and one of the benefits of being on birth control for me is that, besides obvious reasons, is that it helped me keep my hair. So I have androgenic alopecia, and I've been told that being on birth control was helping me keep hair, because without those synthetic hormones balancing themselves out, that I would potentially lose more hair because it is a hormone response. So I was always really nervous about getting off of birth control for those reasons. But that first month, I felt great, felt amazing. I actually had a dermatologist appointment that month, just like a normal skin appointment. And I told her during my skin check that I got off birth control, and she said, "Has your hair started falling out yet?" And I was like, "Excuse me? You think it's gonna fall out?" And that was kind of when I decided I'm not trying to get pregnant. I'm definitely not trying to lose any more hair. So I'm gonna get back on birth control because I felt afraid. So I only had 1 month off of birth control and I got back on. And then I was on birth control again for about a year and a half, and my husband and I decided that we were ready to have a baby. If you know from my last video, I am currently pregnant. I'm 6 months pregnant while filming this. So I took my last pill at the very end of July, and I'm so glad that I stopped, obviously because I got pregnant, but because of how much happier I am being off of birth control. So I got off the pill at the end of July, but I was expecting to have that same happy, freed feeling that I had the first time when I was off of it for 1 month. But it was kind of the opposite. So that first month, we were in Europe all of August, and I was very anxious. I mean, I was having a great time in Europe, but I also could feel this anxiety over me. But I thought maybe it's just because I'm traveling, I'm in all these other countries. I started noticing my hair was falling out significantly more. So that made me really concerned. I was trying not to focus on that, and I'm gonna have a whole nother video on a hair update for you guys. But it's good news. I feel like my hair is looking great, so pleased to announce that. But I started noticing some more hair loss, and then throughout September and October, I had really, really, really bad brain fog. I felt like I just could not retain or think. I just felt like, and I've always wondered when people said they had brain fog, what that meant. No, like it literally felt like there was a fog just in my head. Like a thick fog, I could not see through it. So I had a hard time concentrating, coming up with new ideas, because I work, in a creative field, so it was a little bit difficult for me. And then I became pregnant in October. So basically through my first month of being pregnant, I still had these symptoms, but then they went away, and I have so much energy. I feel great. I have no more brain fog. I'm definitely less stressed and less anxious. Now, I can't say 100% if that is attributed to being off of birth control or if it's because of my new hormones being pregnant, because I only had like 2 periods off of birth control before I became pregnant. The periods were really bad. The first one I had, I got it right as we were leaving Europe, and I just felt like really sick with it, and had really bad like back pain, nausea, cramping, heavy bleeding, but it only lasted like 3 days, which I was pleased. So that was like a normal time frame for me, is that my periods last 3 days. And then the second period I had came on time again. Like, it was a lot better. I didn't have the super heavy cramping and nausea I did the first time. And then I did not get a third period because I became pregnant. So I wish I had more. Well, I kind of don't wish I had more information for you because I'm glad I'm pregnant. But I only have a few periods that I can kind of testify for how that went for me. I have heard it's normal that the first time you get a period after being on the pill for so long, that it can be really difficult and have really bad symptoms. So I think that was pretty normal. And I'm also super happy that being on birth control for 15 years did not affect my fertility. I've always just heard back and forth things that however many years you've been on it, it's going to take you that many months to become pregnant, or you need at least 3 months for your body to kind of clear out and reset after being on the pill. And I just think there's so much conflicting information out there that I just really had to put blinders on and just stay focused on telling myself it just matters how fertile I am. Like, being on birth control is not affecting my fertility. I don't know long term if it's going to affect my overall health. I don't know yet. I've not had any problems so far. So I'm just trying to, again, keep my blinders on, not let people scare me. What's done is done. I've already been on the pill. I can't take it back. I'm now off the pill. I will never be on the pill again, though. Never, ever, ever again will I be on any kind of birth control. I will not do the shot. I will not do where they put the thing up in you. I won't be on the pill. No. So I might end up with like 1 million babies, but I'm not doing it. So that's my story, getting off birth control. Really wasn't that crazy. I'm glad I got off. Took a while for my period. I had one bad period before I got back into sync, and took a few months for the brain fog and anxiety to go away and start feeling like a normal human being again. I'm so happy with my decision. So if you're taking birth control because you don't want to get pregnant, I would definitely start thinking about how you're going to use different forms of contraceptive, or what other contraceptives you're going to use, because I've always been told you ovulate about 2 weeks into your period. I did not track my ovulation being off of birth control, but I will say that I got pregnant like a few days before my missed period, so I ovulated super late. So you can't trust that information if that's what your goal is. Being off of birth control is you just don't want to be on the pill, but you don't want to get pregnant. So just do your research and do proper precautions. And if you are just wanting to get off of the pill for health reasons, personal reasons, I hope this video has been helpful for you. And if you are wanting to get off the pill because you want to become pregnant, I have just a little bit more information for you. The other people, you can stop watching now if you don't care about getting pregnant. But if you are, I was just going to share with you a couple of things I did before getting off of birth control, but I knew I was going to be getting off and wanted to become pregnant and wanted my body to be prepared. So the first thing I did was I started taking Thorne prenatal vitamins starting in February, so 6 months before I got off birth control. And I take zinc and folic acid, but I have been taking those now for years and years. But I just made sure that I was staying healthy. I was getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep at night. I was eating a high-fat diet in addition to my high-protein diet. And when I say high-fat diet, I don't mean eating Chick-fil-A and pizza and fatty foods every day. I mean, I was eating good fats, like I eat a lot of cheese and olive oil. And I have heard that a high-fat diet in that way can really help your, I think it's called progesterone levels, which help you get pregnant. So making sure that I was just overall in good health, so that way when I got off my birth control, it was like my body and my uterus and everything was ready to go and be home to a baby. And I'm happy to say that it worked. It only took a couple months. And again, I know that it doesn't happen for everybody, and what I'm saying, you might be thinking, okay, well, I do that too and it hasn't worked yet. Again, everybody's different. I just wanted to share with you what worked with me, and hopefully it can help you. If you have any questions about getting off of birth control or maybe I didn't cover something that you were looking for, feel free to comment below or reach out to me on Instagram at HeyHaileyB. And please make sure you like and subscribe this video, and I'll see you guys next time.